I'm Hot Ones host Sean Evans, back for my second IAmA alongside Hot Ones creator Chris Schonberger. Ask me anything. Hi, this is Sean Evans and Chris Schonberger, host and creator, respectively, of the hit YouTube series Hot Ones, and we're back on Reddit to answer your spicy questions. The concept of our show is simple. We interview celebrities while making them eat a series of increasingly hot chicken wings. Through 8 seasons and more than 160 episodes, we've had guests like Gordon Ramsay, Scarlett Johansson, and Ken Jeong take on the wings of death. You can catch new episodes on Thursdays, 11 a.m. ET on First We Feast's YouTube. The Season 9 premiere is coming May 23rd. We're here to answer your hot questions. We won't be eating wings. We are eating pizza, though Hot Ones hot sauces. And if you're into the show, check out this subreddit r Hotons. So Alex for helping set up this IAmA. Edit. Chris and I are going to grab a couple of old fashions and settle in for this Raptors x Sixers game. Thanks so much for all the great questions. These things are always a lot of fun. Hot Ones returns May 23rd and we have the S9 hot sauce reveal coming out next week. Upvote the other questions you want answered because we're going to hop in here tomorrow morning for an hour or so. Stay spicy, Sean.
LVA says, did you actually get Terry Crews' number after filming Hot Ones? Did you keep in touch?
C. Evans replies yes, he did, and he hasn't stopped talking about it since. Chris.
Bait and Switch says, hey Sean, I heard Coolio had a rough time backstage after his episode. Got any other behind the scenes stories for us?
C. Evans replies, one of my favorite memories was eating root beer ice cream with Curran after his shoot. He was lit up pretty bad and just wanted to binge watch Chili Klaus YouTube videos. One time a co-worker said he heard alarming noises coming from the bathroom and walked in to see Riff Raff dry heaving into a sink while wearing a full peach tuxedo. There are a million stories like that. Vinny E says, did Bobby Lee really shit his pants? C. Evans replies, we did not cotton swab his underpants or anything to confirm, but the sound his butt made was alarming to say the least.
Longcut says, we did a deep dive into your Instagram. Sean, please explain this gram. https://www.instagram.com/p/6225pgf487/question_mark_igs_18drrvm80pdts.
C. Evans replies, lol, it's a better picture than story. I shot some YouTube video where I did FBI training in upstate New York. I just pulled a 150-pound dummy from a smoking car when I posed for that pic. If someone can find the video, link it below, but it might be lost in the internet ether.
Liberamentus says, long-time listener, first-time caller, does Hot Ones have any plans to sell a seasoning or food other than hot sauce?
C. Evans replies, speaking for myself, I just want to make THC-infused condiments honestly.
Gunst the master say, so you going to get Keanu Reeves on the show?
C. Evans replies, we're trying, I'd say it looks not good, lol.
Walking on the Moon says, hey Sean, huge fan of the show. Who's your white whale that you've been wanting to get on the show? P.S. Get Conan on Hot Ones.
C. Evans replies, I really want 50 Cent. He was made in a lab for Hot Ones and has been ignoring us for 3 years, which only makes me want him on the show more.
Walking on the Moon says, hey Sean, huge fan of the show. Who's your white whale that you've been wanting to get on the show? P.S. Get Conan on Hot Ones.
C. Evans replies, Sean can answer his. Mine is Kobe Bryant. Jay-Z is a personal hero, so that would be big too. I'm going on the record that Danny Dyer would be hilarious. Any Brits on here, but no one else on the team will agree. Chris.
Viewers say, are there any episodes that never got to see the light of day? Who were they and why?
C. Evans replies, we shot these live episodes for NBA All-Star Weekend in 2017. Raekwon and Ghostface and Master P, but some ding-dong we hired messed up the audio so bad that the videos were unsalvageable. I also did a mini Hot Ones Steelers WR Juju Smith-Schuster at a private YouTube event. He dumped a whole gallon of milk over his head after the last dab. You had to be there. Otherwise every interview we've ever done has been published. Random 313 says, did Tyra Banks ever actually set you up with her friend? C. Evans replies, no, but Sean got super hyped the other day when she said they had good chemistry in a Twitter reply to some random dude. Chris.
Reckless Entity says, have you given any thought to working together with the sauce companies to make a Hot Ones sample challenge kit? Little bottles of all 10 of the sauces for fans to use themselves. I'd buy it.
Scene C. Evans replies, we've been exploring that possibility for years, and as it turns out it's an insanely difficult legal needle to thread. We're basically swapping sauces every 4 months, and in the time it would take to do the requisite licensing and distribution deals with all these small batch hot sauce makers, we'd be on to the next season by the time the deal's closed. It's a headache, but like everything with Hot Ones, we'll keep trying.
Grownkill says, hi Sean and Chris. Love the show. My question. The episode with DJ Khaled is one of the more notorious episodes. IAmA. Have you guys reached out to have him back? Or is it a thing where like you'd rather not have him back? You played yourself.
Scene C. Evans replies, I think the DJ Khaled episode is a classic, and it would be interesting to see how he performs against the Wings of Death a second time around. He's near the top of my list for a reunion episode just because it would be must-watch internet. One time I saw him walking the halls at Complex Media and happened to be holding a bottle of The Last Dab. I handed him the bottle and said, here, this is for you. He did not look thrilled.
Frog Kid Frank Reynolds says, who was a guest you weren't really looking forward to interviewing but turned out to be a great interview?
Scene C. Evans replies, that's a good question, and it's tough to answer because if we truly didn't want someone on the show we wouldn't put them in the seat. But maybe Shawn Mendes? We'd never really touched that genre and I didn't know a ton about him, so I was a little meh on paper. But goddamn, he's the sweetest guy and the episode is one of my all-time favorites. I'm now certified Men's Army and X200B. What's an episode you thought would be trash when you saw the thumbnail but ended up being one of your favorites?
Dick Demon says, yo Sean. You ever accidentally get hot sauce on your ding dong?
Scene C. Evans replies, it happens. Frank Lister says, have you heard from Coolio yet? I'm getting worried. Scene C. Evans replies, still no word. Chris.
Spicinkspic3 says, hey Chris, hey Sean, how's it going? When approaching celebrities and their agents, who gave the quickest and easiest yes? I imagine this kind of stuff takes convincing.
Scene C. Evans replies, comedians who Sean has met in real life tend to be the easiest yes. It's always cool for us when we come across a celebrity who knows the show and actively wants to be on it. I won't pretend we weren't gassed up when Scarlett Johansson said, we're big fans in the Johansson-Jost household. Chris.
ResexVI says, what was your favorite episode so far, and your least favorite?
Scene C. Evans replies, Trick Daddy, Eric Andre, Scarlett, Cheryl, Russell Brand and Gordon are some of my favorites. It's hard for me to watch old episodes, the show has come a long way.
Smidgemite says, what's your opinion on this https://yahoo.be/ctpzsjzvlpa?
Scene C. Evans replies, super funny and really well done Hot Ones spoof. We passed it around the office when it hit YouTube last week. Happy to see it has so many views. Goddamn. Shout out to Scotty, has all the spastic hand gestures down.
Oliver Papish says, who's the worst bald and bearded pop culture food recreation YouTuber you've had to collaborate with? Slilo, how you doing bro? How has the transition from YouTube celebrity to household name treated you? Any plans to expand your reach to TV or OTT?
Scene C. Evans replies, hi Andrew. I know I owe you an email, lol. Life is good. As far as plans to expand, I feel like I'm just cranking doorknobs right now and seeing where they led me. I'd love to host a Hot Ones style game show on TV one day, or do a Netflix doc called Fire Breathing Idiots, profiling those dudes who go viral by bong ripping Carolina Reapers and winning ghost pepper eating competitions or whatever. A boy can dream, I suppose.
Wist Scottstitz says, hey Sean and Chris, I want to ask a question but I'm not nearly as talented of a researcher as you or your team. Could you talk a little bit about how you do your research into each guest? That way I can come back with a question about an embarrassing story or video from your past. Thanks guys, keep up the great work.
Scene C. Evans replies, Chris here. This is by far my favorite part of the process. Let me nerd out for a second. Basically it goes like this. And X200B, Sean's brother, Gavin, reads just about everything he can about the guest and distills it all into a Word doc that can be like 30+ pages long. This provides a foundation for us to get oriented with the person and understand what's already out there about them so we can find unique angles. But honestly, I'd read the dossiers just for fun. Gavin is hilarious, and he sprinkles them with little asides about his life growing up with Sean, and his Midwestern armchair psychology takes on different celebrities. It's all gold. And X200B. Meanwhile, Sean will spend like 2 days watching every interview with the guest, and listening to tons of podcasts. I'll usually take some podcasts too, but he really immerses himself. It's a cool process and sometimes I'm not even sure if it generates any specific questions, so much as it arms Sean to know so much about these people that he can pull details off the top of his head that truly impress them, like when he proved to Chelsea Handler that she does, in fact, like hiking. Lol. He's even learned to read body language really well and figure out where people get comfortable uncomfortable in other interviews. I'm proud when people say he is one of the best interviewers in the game, because he truly does the work. And X200B, no matter how long we know about a guest being booked, we pretty much always write the run of show the morning of the interview. Things are just too busy and I guess we are both procrastinators. Also, the adrenaline helps get the job done. We usually have topics we've tossed back and forth in the days prior. We have to ask Gordon Ramsay about the chefs he trained under, or ask Jimmy Butler about Bandanas, or whatever the case may be, and then we'll break them up and start hammering them into questions and follow-ups. There's a lot of back and forth, poking holes in each other's setups, predicting how celebrities will react, killing cliches, coming up with ridiculous wing 10 ideas, and getting super nerdy about the syntax and rhythm of the questions. It's high pressure but a lot of fun. I think we both have strengths that come together perfectly to make the run of show what it is. I like to connect seemingly disparate parts of pop culture, or take intellectual ideas and Trojan horse them into questions that don't come off as too heady. And Sean is really amazing in getting to the heart of what people really want out of a guest and drawing it out. And X200B, like this Reddit answer, the whole thing is ridiculously labor intensive, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Chris. Kirby Glover says most B question I can think of is when is Chili Klaus coming back? I miss seeing you and that maniac on screen. Y'all have amazing chemistry. C. Evans replies Chili Klaus will come back when I can convince him and Sean to eat Pepper X in a helicopter. Chris.
Lucian PA says hey, Sean, have any guests followed up with you on the aftermath of your show? Thanks.
C. Evans replies nor walked around Times Square high, drunk, and scorched out. Then sent live updates from his hotel bathroom. Chris.
Leo Charles says Sean, have you done an interview on Hot Ones while being high? And do you have a funny story backstage with a guest that you haven't told the fans? Long time fan, love the show. Bang Leo Charles.
C. Evans replies bro I can't self-check out at CVS when I'm high. Interviewing a high-profile celebrity on camera is my nightmare. Porkmas says have you ever thought of opening a Hot Ones style restaurant as a sort of tourist trap? Love the show. Keep it up. C. Evans replies we've talked about. It's been really cool to do the sauces and get such a good response. The lesson was that fans actually wanted it, and we were able to find the right partners. Noah from Hedonist, Smock and Ed Curry, who cared as much about quality in hot sauce as we care about quality in interview shows. We talk about the new media commerce landscape ad nauseam. And we're both really interested in the idea of building a long-term brand and not shoving anything down people's throats to make a quick buck. If we opened a Hot Ones restaurant, all I know is it would also have the best nachos of any chain ever, in addition the requisite wings. Oh, and a Dogfish Head collab on tap. Chris.
Jack All 10 Spooks says he love you Sean. What are your favorite wing spots in NYC?
C. Evans replies the wings at Blind Tiger in the West Village are great. Big fan of Dan and John's. We get the wings for the show from a spot called My Belly's Playlist on 35th Street. That move single-handedly turned the wing complaints from earlier seasons around.
Garbanzo Baby says Sean, you beautiful bald bastard, what's your preferred hair length and your ball boy grooming tips?
C. Evans replies in my experience you can't go wrong just buying some clippers and giving yourself a number one.
TC on Coast says massive fan of the show. Thanks to everyone who puts it together. 2 questions if possible. 1. Do you think you can top last season next season? This season was incredible. 2. Have either of you become friend with any of your guests from the show? Always seems to be great chemistry.
C. Evans replies thanks for the nice words about S8. Hope we carry that momentum into S9 and beyond. We've had a lot of past guests stay in touch, which is cool. Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer have been super supportive, proud to call them friends. Terry Crews gave me a pep talk over the weekend that made me want to run through a brick wall. Shout out Joji and Rich Brian. Also me, Casey and Ethan all have the same agent so we trade notes all the time. Hot Ones is a clubhouse.
Crimping Gainteasy says thanks for taking the time to do this. My question if you could pair a beer, wine, or spirit with each wing, what would they be? My pick, da bomb and a shot of fireball, really makes it interesting.
Scene C. Evans replies Chris here. Damn, this is a great question. Let's give it a shot. 1. The classic. Start off easy with an O'Dowell's. Shout out to Scarlett Johansson. It wasn't actually an O'Dowell's, for your information. 2. Angry Goat. Hippy dippy green. Gotta do something out of Vermont. One of my favorite beer states. Like Hill Farmstead Edward 3. Patio's Passion. This has such unique ingredients. Like grapefruit and carrot. I might have to bust out something funky like an orange wine. I don't know any names, but I had a good one at Night Plus Market. A good Thai place in LA 4. High River Sauces Chiba Gold. This has to be paired with some sort of super dank IPA. I've been into the stuff from Trillium in Boston recently. 5. Los Calientes. The Corona bottle in the sand was literally the inspiration for the vibe. So let's go with that. 6. A Dabalaco Calo Kid. Even though it's not my speed. Let's drink a Bud Light in honor of Post Malone. Hot Ones Legend. 7. Torchbearer. Garlic Reaper. Let's bust out a crisp Sauvignon Blanc to cut through the garlic and heat. My wife and I like Cloudy Bay. 8. Da Bomb. I think maybe it's one of those situations where you just sterilize with a shot of pure grain alcohol or something? There is no way to create a pleasant pairing here. Fireball also a great call. 9. Hellfire Fear This. Let's get a spicy mezcal cocktail from Leenda in NYC. Sometimes you have pair spicy with spicy. 10. The Last Dab. Redux. An adult milkshake with a bunch of bourbon in it. Gotta tame the heat and get Klinsmann at the same time. Chris.
NoobCube64 says, what's your biggest takeaway from doing so many Hot Ones interviews?
Scene C. Evans replies that the richer you are, the more likely you are to be vegan. Chris.
Release the MC Kraken says, Sean and Chris, what's your most recent vice?
Scene C. Evans replies, I recently got Chris onto edibles.
Reckon Rose say she Sean, I've noticed you guys have talked about the benefits of your pop-up production style in relation to scheduling and cost. In the other direction, what are the main hurdles or problems that arise from the sort of fly-by-night way Hot Ones comes together? Thanks for taking the time out of your day to talk to the plebs.
Scene C. Evans replies, it's kind of insane how last minute we are with some stuff. Sometimes we're literally deciding 30 minutes before sitting down with an A-list celebrity to run with some insane wing 10 stunt and just hope they respond well. There's also zero wiggle room in our schedule, but shit hits the fan. Like, all the time. And X200B. Here's a funny story. We were supposed to do a shoot W Halsey for our S6 finale and she cancelled an hour before because she got sick. Saw pictures of her at Up and Down with that G-Eazy dude the night before, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, here we are less than a week before the finale was supposed to air and we had no one. We made a desperate plea to Jeff Goldblum, who by some miracle agreed to do it. We hopped on a plane that night, shot the episode and turned the edit around in a few days. Put it up on YouTube like we planned it all along. Shit like that happens multiple times every season.
Reed Hayes Daddy says, if you had to take a shot to the nuts from Ric Flair or elbow to the back from Mike Tyson, which one would it be?
Scene C. Evans replies, I'd rather take an elbow to the back from Mike Tyson all day.
Old SKUL says, hey Sean and Chris. Huge fan of the show, have watched every episode, and blame you for my new addiction to ridiculously hot sauces. My question is for Sean. What's your pre-interview body prep for eating the hottest wings? Carbs have been mentioned in the past, but I wonder what your pre-game warm-up includes.
Scene C. Evans replies, I just eat light, a little yogurt and some fruit a few hours before the shoot.
Pork Behanman 2 says, hey Sean and Chris, UK fan, love what you guys at First We Feast do. As the show has grown exponentially, we've seen the sauces, props, and pretty much anything you can think of change. My question is, what do you two look back on and think, what the F were we thinking, Frank?
Scene C. Evans replies, thanks for the love from the UK. We consider ourselves a quarter British at Hot Ones and it means a lot to have fans there. And X200B. Honestly, the show has not changed that much. I sort of think the key to making it work was putting all of our energy into creating a better interview, rather than focusing on building a better set, a better marketing plan, or whatever. And X200B. That said, I can barely look at that disgusting pale yellow tablecloth we used to use, and Sean's fashion sense has improved significantly since Tony Yeo. Trust the process. Chris.
Release the MC Kraken says, Sean, who is Chris' dream guest? Chris, who is Sean's dream guest?
Scene C. Evans replies, I want 50 Cent.
Release the MC Kraken, says Sean, who is Chris' dream guest. Chris, who is Sean's dream guest?
Scene C. Evans replies, I want Kobe so bad. Chris.
Magna Gan, says Sean. Love the show, been watching it since the first season. My only question is Scarlett Johansson as likable and charismatic as she seems? She just seems like a super cool woman you could have beers with and just have a fun time.
Scene C. Evans replies, she was awesome to work with and a big Hot Ones fan to boot. I think it's one of the best episodes we've ever done.
Grantland say she Sean, love the show. One thing I have always wondered, do the vegan wings come across as being spicier than the meat wings? Does the lack of fat make it worse?
Scene C. Evans replies, splitting hairs, but all things being equal I think the vegan wings come across as being slightly less spicy. Vegan wings are a little more spongy and absorbent, plus you're not navigating bones so they're a little easier on the lips.
Gaga Pogo says, first off, thanks a lot for the AMA on the show. I started watching after Gunplay ran The Wings of Death and the show has just gotten better and better each year. For Chris, what's it gonna take for you to do an on-camera run of The Wings of Death? I know you've previously said that the time we get to interviewing you might mean the end of the show, but I think a lot of fans would love to learn more about you. For Sean, the hoodies have become almost an iconic part of your look, and your host uniform as it were. Any conversation with clothing companies to get some brand exposure on the show by outfitting you in the newest hotness? Thanks again guys, I love the show.
Scene C. Evans replies, I stand by the statement that my appearance on Hot Ones should be a sad day for fans, as it will signal the end of the series. In the same way Sean looks up to great interviewers like Howard Stern and David Letterman, I'm really inspired by some of the behind-the-scenes architects of shows I like. People like Lorne Michaels and Armando Iannucci, Alan Partridge. The thick of it. Sometimes when we are gassing ourselves up we joke that I am the Evan Goldberg to Sean's Seth Rogen, or the Larry David to his Jerry Seinfeld. So maybe I'll go on camera when I'm old and rich. I'm hoping this is just the beginning of a career with Sean, so maybe one day we can make those comparisons with a straight face. For now, we have a chicken wing talk show and I don't want to tank it by being the lanky weirdo who comes through when people are expecting Will Smith and Tyler the Creator. Chris. Seth of Winterfell says, do you guys ever think about taking the show on the road? You could tour different cities trying out the hottest wings and maybe have guests meet you there? Scene C. Evans replies, we're thinking about it, but the logistics are tough and we want it to be done right. For example, we think it'd be cool if everyone could eat the wings along with Sean and the guest, and it feels better suited to intimate theaters than loud bars or big auditoriums. Also, I think there's a different criteria for a good live guest versus a good in-studio guest. Comedians would be best, since they're used to filling the room and keeping a crowd engaged. Chris. Whistletip says, hey, Sean, you've said in the past that you're interested in having MMA UFC fighters on Hot Ones. It hasn't happened yet. Hot Ones is exponentially bigger than when you initially said that. Are there any particular fighters you would want on the show? Daniel Cormier, Michelle Watterson, Amanda Nunes, Max Holloway, even Conor McGregor could be awesome episodes. Shout out to our MMA. Scene C. Evans replies, I'm a big UFC fan and buy the PPV pretty much every Saturday night. I don't have plans. Conor would be a GOAT Hot Ones guest. I'm pretty sure we've pitched Dana White in the past and Joe Rogan is obviously one of our white whales. In addition to those names you mentioned, the Diaz brothers would make a great Truth or Dab. Derek Lewis gives great interviews too.
Plasma0824 says, how disappointed were you when Shaq bailed out on eating the last wing?
Scene C. Evans replies, I know there was some controversy around this, but I honestly didn't mind. It was a really fun shoot, and an extremely Shaq thing to do. The show is the best when it is unpredictable, and it can't always be unpredictable in exactly the ways you want it to be. It's fun when people shake things up and poke at things that maybe we need to prepare for more, like loopholes in the format or adjudication of the wall of shame. All that said, I am doing this on Sean's laptop because mine has been subpoenaed in light of Shaqgate and X200B. For what it's worth, Sean didn't seem to think it was a big deal either. Chris.
Slams McDuncan says, if you had a second chance at DJ Khaled, what would you ask him? Also, would you just give him 10 wings with the lightest sauce just to get him to not be as big of a baby?
Scene C. Evans replies, I just wonder if his Hot Ones experience has followed him. Like, do people yell at him in the streets about not eating the wings? That would be both sad and hilarious. His career has reached such heights since then, but there's something funny about not being able to shake the wings of death and X200B. For the record, we would love to have Khaled back on a reunion ep. Chris.
Potty Mouth says Sean, back in the day when you attended Crystal Lake Central High School, did you or any of your teenage friends ever make it to the underground tunnel system? If you had managed to access the tunnel secretly without any administration knowing, what enterprise would set up down there below the school?
Scene C. Evans replies, there's an underground tunnel system? I had no idea. One time me and my buddies Wyatt and Miles climbed onto the roof. To answer your question, I guess I'd set up some sort of password-only black shadow economy in the seedy underbelly of the school. Does Coach Aldridge still work there? What about Mr. Smalley? Those were my guys.
Emma Flying Lobster says, what's your favorite sandwich, dog?
Scene C. Evans replies, one time during the debacle that was the Live Hot Ones run at All-Star Weekend in New Orleans, Sean and I had incredible sandwich at Turkey and the Wolf. Chris.
Brandon 926B says 1. What were unexpected difficulties you encountered in the early days of production you wish you had accounted for? 2. Is Barrett fatter in person and X200B, and X200B, and X200B? Huge fan, glad to see you on here.
Scene C. Evans replies, Chris and I had never made a show before Hot Ones, so we had to learn everything on the fly. Also, please stop fat shaming Bert just because he's fat and gross.
Panacroom says, great show guys. 1 for Chris. You put on a well-polished production, but what's the biggest logistical difficulty the show faces that viewers never get to see?
Scene C. Evans replies, thanks for this question. There are so many. Booking is really hard, because we're trying to shoot so many episodes a year, plus truth or dabs, hot sauce reveals, recaps, et al., while maintaining a super high talent bar and keeping up with who's relevant, who the fans want to see. What else? Finding chairs that people like Shaq and Blake Griffin can fit into, running down beers when a guest is dying and suddenly requests one. The list of stuff that we have on deck just in case seems to keep growing. Finding the best wings when we pop up the show in a new city. Often we come up with the wing 10 shenanigans last minute. We were almost late to the Scarlett Johansson shoot because we had to go to a magic shop to get props for Sean's handkerchief trick and X200B. As I write this, I'm reminded how ridiculous our show is. Shout out to Dom, Sarah, Kristen, Steven, camera guy Bill, Colin, Marie, and everyone else who makes the trains run semi on time. Chris.
Mike of the Shy says, Sean, your style is consistently on point, but we rarely get to see what you have under the table. What are some of your favorite shoes that you own? What are your holy grails? Also, thanks for the best show on YouTube. Can't wait for season 9.
Scene C. Evans replies, for the past year all I've been wearing are common projects. Yeezy Power Faces and Vans.